Yo, abusafo sabre yemo bibia akwaba adiba NK97 TV. Afeno wadwani ya ebepese unya kwenya ya. Adoma na ewo ho no obepress so na woso wa subscribe ama atiefo so anya bi ahwe. Ene de nia abeto dwa no ano odene omampanyi akufu Addo na Addo dankwa preman watutu bi amane yenuanu a omo call for coup e wo Ghana no eno na nam so ye de nanu disem ebeba na omampanyi se yenka nkire Raymond Atuguba eni Becker Oliver Becker eni ni NDC fo no a ene de omo di ababe sori e wo oman Ghana so obo bioma no a esedi nkotia obie na no a enaku omampanyi se menka nkire wo mo se emise omadwene nya adwuma enyame na mika ho omampanyi ena eka osi Raymond Atuguba jamina wo yare ai mo bi nkoka se me na mkoka yo ye bebo omampanyi anu asem no etie na ansa ne ye bebo omampanyi anu asem anu disem atie ewo independent celebration e course the 65th independent celebration e course no ye behwe se nia omampanyi kan ye nyina ye betibi ne reply anana no yi a ode ma Raymond Atuguba eni Oliver Becker eni omo ye omadwen se ni pensui ombeye ku e dia be tintam oman Ghana abesai oman Ghana osi yenka kire omo se eni omo mpa ba bi mfa efiso no Addo prema waye ready waye krado woni na pamfo si ombetu omo so sa na ansana ye bekoda na di ade no so no ya maami bi nso ono so African Caribbean ya to nsafre no ema oba be ye Caribbean be si Caribbean for president obesi anam wa ha no ya maami no oye Caribbean for president ya bete ne na ne nsem oka no mesira mo momientie bi ansa na yakona na Addo dankwa opremani agenkwa onum bremu achinim eba no momi ansa na yakotie no momientie maami ya oba ofri Caribbean no no so na anu disama ode baaye no yakotie bi
return. And it is the ultimate victory to wage against those who said that there shall be no return. That I stand here as a daughter of the Americas, a daughter of Africa, to congratulate you on what has been a magnificent display this morning by your armed forces, million persons, by the school children of this country. And may I say, as I saw the stiltmen and the masqueraders, Mr. President, just as you felt when you inspected our troops in Barbados that you were in Accra, I feel today that I am in Bridgetown at Crop when I saw the masqueraders and I saw the stiltmen move through this stadium. It is a reminder, always, that we are truly family. So let us not look north, let us look west, and let us look east. And let us be determined always to remove the middleman, to remove the middle leg, and to remove the middle passage. For if we remain committed and focused on that, then I believe that we shall be that humanizing force that the world needs now more than ever in these great times of peril in which we live. For people know what we must do to bring justice to the fight against climate. And we will know what we must do to bring reparations to those people who have lost. And we will know what we must do to ensure that those in this continent and the Americas should not be deprived of vaccines at a time when other countries literally are throwing them away as if they didn't matter. For we shall know when the next pandemic comes how to fight it and who to protect. Mr. President and the people of Ghana, I leave you today confident that you shall continue to light a beacon for those of us not only in the continent of Africa but across the world, and we shall join you in holding that beacon, that everlasting fire, if only because it is a moral and just fire, It is a moral and just fight that we wage, but we are equally conscious. Who labor in a great cause, my brothers and sisters, shall never fail. Long live the Republic of Ghana, long live the Republic of Barbados, long live the Caribbean civilization, long live the civilization of Africa. Thank you.
In fact, mami wakasa pa wakasa. Osi mumien so ye democracy na ye kremu no. Ni nyina ye nye baako as Africans. Na omko ya omaba efiso omunchi efi Africa. Enu nti oboga na fo abaso ama Ghana fo so hu say yes, we have something. We have something, and I say you respect your democracy. Ni ye okwan a ye nyema ye dey see enu so se ye pese ye no. Ye ma me say ye momodin na ye nsomu ye. Enu achi ena Addo Preman, Addo Dankwa Akufu Addo. Ono nso odi na no disem ebaye. Na ye baba betie ye papa Addo Dankwa Akufu Addo. Ne nsem a okaye no, ye baba betie bi. Na ne opeso oka ni nyina ne se ma me kan nyina ne se so wo hwe Africa na wo hwe ye niema na ye ne ye ne susudie bi niema bi a ye no a ye momodi ase ye beyi the middleman every yentem nti se ye bibia se bia Ghana ne Barbados ye pese ye bibia ye call straight ne nkwankwaye ye ni obi ema mesi yentem ne for middleman bi na no na ye kanana eba oman ni mu anase edi kitahudie ebema oman na ye nkoso no enu na ediba enu na ye maami kire ye say ye momodi ni yentimi enyi the middleman every of na mom ye democracy no so ye moho ban na Ghana ye wo ade oyiye ba betie na Addo Dankwa Akufu Addo Preman Addo Dankwa Akufu Addo o de sikonkon ofri achim chebi ho ena na Addo Dankwa ofri ye ba betie ono so na no disem na eno so efri ho no a ye behu nia koso ewo na Addo ni nsem bi a okekan ye.
I will not renege on my pledge to help create a age of universal acceptance. The Origines rights protection of the UGC.
Abusafo we de na me bo ai radio nkakra ai pese yetie na Addo Dankwa Akufu Addo na ansa na Addo ba no amofra we so ebeye ade kama pa de ma na Addo akwaba etumu mi entie kakra yetie culture Ghana ye culture efe aha yo afena na Addo Dankwa Akufu Addo omma ne muso a ye nuanom mofrei ajeje ne tata oba ba kasa mu yeti na Addo
Eminent clergy, First Lady, Vice President and Second Lady, Chief Justice, Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of Barbados, and members of the Beijing delegation, members of the Council of State, the Chief of Staff of the Office of the President, and officials of the Presidency, Central Regional Minister, Ministers and Deputy Ministers of State, Members of Parliament, Metropolitan, Municipal and District Chief Executives, Chief of Defense Staff of the Ghana Armed Forces, Inspector General of Police, Service Chiefs, and members of the Diplomatic Corps, President and members of the Central Regional House of Chiefs, Omahini of Ogwe Traditional Area and other traditional rulers, residents of Cape Coast, fellow Ghanaians, ladies and gentlemen. Today marks the 65th anniversary of our nation's independence, and it is wholly appropriate that we should gather in this historic city of our country to commemorate this special day, when 65 years ago, at midnight, on 6th March 1957, our dynamic leader, our first president, the celebrated Kwame Nkrumah, proclaimed at the Old Polo Grounds in Accra the immemorial words, "Ghana, your beloved country, is free, free forever." I must at the outset thank the children from the schools drawn from across the municipality for their excellent march, the cultural troops for their magnificent performance, which has showcased many of the elements of the best elements of Ghanaian culture, and the officers, men and women of the Ghana Armed Forces, the Ghana Police Service and the other security services for their splendid display of order, pomp and pageantry. It has been a grand spectacle, and I'm glad that I've been able to bring up the distinguished guest of honor, one of the great figures of the Caribbean politics, the Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of Barbados, Her Excellency Mia Amon Motley, QC, to witness this for herself. Madam, this is your second visit to Ghana in 3 years, and I say once again, a big warm Akwaba, our word of welcome to you and to your delegation. Whilst welcoming you, I also congratulate you on your spectacular victory in the recent general elections in your country, where for the second successive time, your party, under your leadership, swept all 30 seats of your country's legislature. Clearly, we in the New Patriotic Party have much to learn from the Barbados Labour Party. Above all, I congratulate you on steering your country from the status of a dominion to that of a republic, which occurred on 30th November 2021, severing all formal connections to the former British colonial power. Barbados today stands proud and united before the world. Relations between Ghana and Barbados date back centuries, founded originally on the tragic platform of the barbaric, inhumane transatlantic slave trade, which at Cape Coast Castle, from here, as one of its major conduits. Over 400 years later, here we are, this time, sharing a vision of a black world on both sides of the Atlantic, which leverages hard work, enterprise, creativity, and innovation to engage in mutually beneficial trade and investment cooperation that will guarantee the prosperity and dignity of black people the world over. Madam Prime Minister, your presence here with us on our special day is eloquent testimony to the fact that despite the machinations of our common enemies, the bonds between us, that is, those of us on the continent and those of you in the African diaspora of the Americas, are indissoluble and will in this century grow from strength to strength. The time for the black peoples of the world is here. I wish you a pleasant stay amongst us, madam, even if it is brief. Fellow Ghanaians, before the outbreak of COVID-19, we took the Independence Day celebrations out of Accra. In 2019 to Tamale, capital of the northern region, and in 2020 to Kumasi, capital of the Ashanti region. Both were huge successes. However, because of the rising numbers of COVID infections last year, the celebration was held virtually for the first time in our history. By the grace of Almighty God, in the effective management of the pandemic by government, we currently have a very low active case count, which has permitted these celebrations to take place in Gwe. It has been a captivating event, and I'm very happy to be here and grateful for the cooperation of the traditional authorities, led by the Omahe of the Ogwa traditional area, of Saberi Kwesi Ata II, who has been our gracious host. Saberi Yedawo Enigwema Asepa. Cape Coast was once the administrative capital of the then colonial Gold Coast. The first Supreme Court was cited in Cape Coast. The first people to gain formal education in our country came from Cape Coast. It is the home of the first primary school, the Philip Kwaku School, established in the 18th century in 1776. It is the home of the first girls' secondary school, Wesley Girls High School, established in 1836. And is the home of the first boys' secondary school, Infansipim School, established 40 years later in 1876. Subsequently, many renowned secondary schools were established in Cape Coast. I doubt if there exists anywhere else in the world a town that has the same concentration of top secondary schools as there is in Cape Coast. Indeed, it's not for nothing that Cape Coast is rightly described as the Athens of Africa. Today is a celebration of our nation's independence, and one region that has epitomized both our association with colonial rule and the ensuing struggle to liberate ourselves from its yoke is the Central region. Indeed, the Portuguese, the earliest Europeans to visit us, first arrived in the Gold Coast in the 15th century, setting up shop in Cape Coast. The years that followed witnessed battles for control of Cape Coast, with the Swedes and the British finally taking over the territory. What ensued in the aftermath of this takeover was the transformation of Cape Coast into a place where our resources, human and natural, were transported. Through the forts and castles dotted along this coastline, our ancestors were sold into slavery in faraway lands and were forcibly engaged, inevitable, that the first momentous steps towards the making of modern independent Ghana began here in Cape Coast in 1897, when the great Ghanaian patriots Jacob Say, J.B. Brown, Joseph Casely Hayford, John Mensah Saba, and their colleagues assembled in the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, situated and managed, through their determination and advocacy, to mobilize public opinion to resist the takeover of our lands by the greedy hands of British imperialism in the Crown Lands Protection Bill, thereby helping us to maintain control of our lands and insulating us from the fate of the sequestration of lands that occurred in southern and eastern Africa, with such unhappy consequences for the indigenous peoples that reverberate till today. Exactly 50 years to the day after the inauguration of the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, on 4th August 1947, the United Gold Coast Convention, UGCC of blessed memory, the nation's first political party, was born in Salt, 50 kilometers from here, to spearhead the battle for freedom and independence. 4 months later, in December 1947, Kwame Nkrumah, soon to assume the leadership of the nationalist movement, returned home upon invitation from his decade-long sojourn abroad to join the convention and take up his responsibilities as its general secretary. 6 months after the launching of the UGCC, the senseless Christians War crossroads shootings and killings on 28 February 1948 by the colonial police of Sergeant Ajete, Corporal Atipo, and Private Odate Lamte, who were part of a group of unarmed ex-servicemen marching peacefully to present their grievances to the colonial governor, provoked the wrath of the nation, resulted in countrywide riots, and deepened immeasurably the demand for the independence of our nation. This led to the arrest by the colonial authorities of the UGCC leaders, Joseph Boachidankwa, Emmanuel Obechebi Lamte, Edward Akufo-Addo, Ebenezer Akwaje, William Ofori-Atta, Kwame Nkrumah, the legendary Big Six, who were held responsible for the riots, and to the institution of the Watson Commission to investigate the circumstances of the riots. The recommendations of the Watson Commission to the British Labour government to Prime Minister Clement Attlee helped construct the path for the attainment of these and other events, including the founding of the Convention People's Party and the declaration of positive action, led to the emergence of Kwame Nkrumah as the leader of the nationalist movement in succession to J.B. Dankwa. He led it with verve, and on 6 March 1957, stood at the Old Polo Grounds to make the historic declaration of Ghanaian freedom, for which the Ghanaian people will forever remain in his debt. I've recounted a short but significant portion of our nation's history and the journey towards independence to reinforce the importance of the theme of this year's celebration: working together, bouncing back together. This theme imposes a duty on all of us to break the essence of what it means to be a Ghanaian and to love Ghana. Our forebears worked together with the belief that Ghana, once free and independent, could make her own unique contribution to the growth of world civilization and be able to generate wealth and prosperity for the masses of her people. They put away ethnic, political, and religious affiliations and came together to work for the liberation of the Gold Coast from colonial and imperial domination. Each one of them contributed their quota towards the free, independent Ghana in which we now live. All of us gathered here, and millions out there, inside our borders and outside, share this love for the place we call home. What is that ultimate patriotism? Most people will say, my country, right or wrong. In fact, as the distinguished orator and Senator Carl Schultz elaborated in the 19th century, my country, right or wrong. If right, to be kept right, and if wrong, to be set right. When we make wrong choices, we must act to set things right.
Omampanyi Akufu Addo say ye hwede ye mistake bi ana say ya fakwan boni bi so aye bibia e wo se ye hu se ye betimi ama saa okwan boni no ye fa so no yetimi aye den ya siesie ya ye ni ye mumie nkoso ne entie Omampanyi Akufu Addo.
When those put in charge of affairs, of running affairs, get it wrong, we must have the courage to say so. That is our patriotic duty and calling. But we
Omampanyi Akufu Addo say yamanu nto omo a omo kasa atia na aban ene aban bia obaba abesiso se ebia onye na dwuma yi a ye wo ho kwan se ye den ye kasa ye wo ho kwan se ye kire ya adwene ye wo ho kwan se ye di nimdie bi eba ye wo ho kwan se bibi so enkoyi a ye nso ye beka na ama aban no a oteso no so wa ye den wate nenka ana se wahunia eden ekoso enti se aban bi siso na se yenya enipa bi no so mo be kasa omomfa nyansa ena ento nyam na meka na adodan kwa preman ase yanka nkire omo a omo esusu for eku no se bibi ni na se enkoyi a obi te se atuguba fa nyansa eto ho no wakasa momie nkotie Omampanyi ne oka eto aso.
That's not on any given opportunity. Run down our nations merely simply because we can, or to achieve a narrow, parochial, and partisan.
Hey, Omampanyi si yanka nkire mo se munya kwanyan na se mo kasa na mo kire ma adwene a mo nkire adwene beboa oman ni nyina na mmom enya adwene a eye muamu interest eye muan kasa mo pesa munkumunya. Enti Omampanyi si yanka nkire owura Atuguba eni Oliver eni NDC fo a omo kasa ese yemma ku emra omangana nse omukura omo ankasa omo interest porokia abroni beka se menua ya kan say porokia interest aha omo ankasa omo adwene mu no ni omo pe e na omo pese omo de eba ti Omampanyi si yemma ne nto omo emomo nto yemma ne nto Atuguba eni ni NDC fo no Oliver eni NDC fo mpanyifo se mahama ni ewura sedi nkatia no se omu porokia interest enti ena omu ekase oman emmo nanso kiyedi nimdie ni nyansa ne ahode ne tekere oman umie nkoso enti oman na yentie yewura Akufo Addo okasa kire ne man aha ye NK97 TV.
Interest. The democratic system of governance operates, acknowledges that we're bound to have differences of opinion on the way forward for our nation. We must, however, recognize that the expression of those diverse views should not undermine the fundamental unity we need to form to advance the cause of our nation. In the words of our unofficial national anthem, composed by the legendary Ephraim Amu, Adrume ene wo suso si ebeye bi atwaso. Fellow Ghanaians, for the last 2 years, we have seen as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the disruption of the global supply chain and the global financial system.
Premiere
The
Pro is
opening
the
up of
industry-leading
huge
video editing
funding
software.
gap
It helps you
virtually
craft raw
all
footage
countries.
into polished
The
stories.
erosion of personal space the widening of the fiscal deficit, and increased public debt levels. Simply put, there are difficulties everywhere in the world. We're seeing increasing global freight rates, rising crude oil prices, which means rising fuel prices, rising costs of items on the market as a result of inflationary pressures, and the depreciation of currencies. And as much as these are happening in all countries around the world, the government of Nana Addo has not thrown up its hands in despair. We're not looking for the easy way out. We're determined to become even more self-reliant and in the process find Ghanaian solutions to Ghanaian problems. As already we have made considerable progress towards this end. Today, Ghana is a net exporter of foodstuffs, thanks to the success of the program for Planting for Food and Jobs. Free senior high school is ensuring money, or the lack of it, is no longer a barrier towards the attainment of a minimum of senior high school education for every Ghanaian child, an important tool for the development of our nation. We are processing more of our cocoa in Ghana than at any other time in our history. The One District, One Factory initiative, which has seen the ongoing construction of 278 factories across the country, 106 completed, is part of the foundation on which we're building a comprehensive industrialization program, inspired by the development of strategic anchor industries, such as the emerging automotive industry and the coordinating exploitation of our bauxite and iron resources. We have opened up this country through the constructions of roads more than any other government has in the history of the Fourth Republic. Our efforts at digitization are improving transparency, accountability, and efficiency in the public sector and helping to accelerate the growth of our economy. Fellow Ghanaians, these and more are what we have used tax revenues for over the last 5 years. In all your communities, villages, towns, constituencies, and regions, you've seen your taxes at work, whether it is the construction of a classroom block, a clinic, a small town water facility, a factory, or a road. And we will continue down this path. I will not renege on my pledge to help create a progressive and prosperous Ghana. I, however, cannot do this alone. I need the backing of each and every one of you if we are to bounce back together and build a Ghana beyond aid. There is one matter of overriding significance which we can no longer ignore. That is the pressing need to increase dramatically our domestic resource mobilization and reduce and eliminate our dependence on foreign savings. Today, there's no question but that the most important thing on most people's minds is the need for accelerated national development to improve living standards and generate jobs for the mass of the people, especially the youth. On that question, we are all agree. However, not everyone is ready to take the next step to the recognition that accelerated national development can best take place with a considerable increase in revenue mobilization. And very few will then take the next further step to accept that revenue mobilization will happen principally through taxation. In our society, we have unfortunately not yet reached the stage of universal acceptance of taxation as a matter of public good. But truth be told, our tax to GDP ratio of 12.2% compares unfavorably with our peers the world over. Less than 10% of the Ghanaian population, i.e. 2.4 million people, carry the direct tax burden 1.8 million people. The Asian tigers whom we envy and emulate and want to emulate finance their rapid development from their own savings. We need to do the same and alter our fiscal profile. We must move Ghana to a situation beyond aid. That is a Ghana which is no longer dependent on the benevolence or charity of foreign taxpayers and donors for the management of our public finances. It is doable. We want to transform Ghana into a world-class economic hub which will benefit every single Ghanaian. On this day, when we're gathered to celebrate 65 years of freedom and independence, let us continue to pay homage to those who dare to dream of a diverse nation made up of different peoples. And let us continue to give praise, as we should, to those who made huge sacrifices to make possible 6 March 1957. Above all, let us guard jealously the peace and stability we are enjoying. There are some restless spirits amongst us who, seeking to exploit the current difficulties confronting the nation, claim to have lost confidence in our democratic system to effect a peaceful constitutional change in the governance of our state. Either the absence of faith in the prospects of a democratic alternative to the current government, or their impatience to wield executive authority are the factors driving their appetite for the shortcut of military intervention. Whatever be the case, they seem ready to jeopardize the hard-won reputation of our country as a beacon of democracy and stability in Africa, and indeed in the world, in order to gratify their personal ambitions which show little or no respect for the capacity of the Ghanaian people to change, when necessary, their government peacefully through the ballot box, something they have done on 3 separate occasions in the 29-year life of the Fourth Republic. The great majority of us who are committed to democratic values and democratic institutions will continue to resist the claims of these adventurers and employ all legitimate means in democracy to maintain our free, open system of governance, which is respectful of human rights, the rule of law, and the principles of democratic accountability. Ghana deserves to put the initial decades of perhaps understandable turbulence and instability in her history firmly behind her, to enable the development of our nation to proceed in conditions of freedom, order, peace, and stability, which have been the happy hallmarks of the Fourth Republic. West Africa is also currently faced with a worsening security situation in the Sahel, with recurring terrorist attacks, which are moving gradually southwards in the region towards the coastal states. All our efforts at transforming the Ghanaian economy and putting our nation onto the path of progress and prosperity will be rendered futile if we are unable to secure our borders and give you, the Ghanaian people, the serenity to go about your daily activities in an atmosphere of peace and security. Hence, the necessity of bolstering the capacity of our security services, a goal which has to be achieved. As President of the Republic, I assure you, the government is determined to do everything within its power to guarantee the nation's territorial integrity and ensure the safety of citizens. I urge you, my fellow Ghanaians, also to cooperate with our security services and give them maximum support in the discharge of their important duties. When the citizenry and security services work together, assured of our safety and security. And then we can channel all our energies and resources into building a progressive and prosperous nation, the Ghana of our dreams. I do not underestimate the challenges with which we are confronted, but I am strong in my conviction that we can overcome them. I know we are capable. I believe in the can-do spirit of the Ghanaian, the first people in sub-Saharan Africa to rid ourselves of the shackles of imperialism and colonialism. Ours is a bright future, and I'm confident that the years ahead of Mother Ghana will be great. Let us work together and bounce back together. The battle is the Lord's.
Yo abusuafo nana Addo danko akufu Addo na yete ne nka no na ne nsɛm ne nyinaa ɛna bebɛbɔ ne tofa no ɔse yɛnka nkyerɛ yɛnwan mu bi a ɔmayɛ ɔmo ho sɛ ɔmo yɛ selfish na ɔmo kura selfish interest na ɔmo pɛ sɛ ɔman ɛbɔ ɛnam sɛ yɛ current economic situation a yɛwɔ mu no ebia na ɛmmoa na ɛmfavor nneɛma bebree ne nti no ɔmo pɛ sɛ ɔmo fa kwati kwan na ɔmode military anaasɛ yɛ sojafoɔ ɛba bɛyɛ intervention ɛbɛtu aban egu na so wɔ so menka nkyerɛ ɔmo sɛ nipa na ɔmo kura saa ɔmo selfish interest na ɔmo nwini ɔmo yɛ ɔmanbɔfoɔ na ɔmo nwini ɔman Ghana ho no ɔpɛ sɛ ɔka kyerɛ ɔmo sɛ ɔma yɛ crowd ɔma tintim na sɛ obi pa ɔmfa mesi na ɔmo so ɔmo betu na ɔmo atwa no sɛ pim eti yɛnka nkyerɛ ɔman Ghana foɔ sɛ yɛnya abotrɛ na yentimi enum so entwen wopɛ na wonim sɛ emra esem na efata no ɔman Ghana ebefa ne ntoma pa efria ɔso wɔno nko a ontimi nyɛ obehia ye nyinaa ye mmoa sɛ yemfa meka no ho na yema ɔman Ghana enye nkosoɔ sabrei aha ye NK97 TV na ɔman pani ensɛm a ɔkan wɔ independent no ne nyinaa ne abɔ ne tofa na ɔkyerɛ sɛ ɔman Ghana yema na chidom na emom omo pe abantukuo no ɔse yɛnka nkyerɛm sɛ ɔmo mpe baabi ntina na ɔmo ntimi nyɛ ɔmo yɛnsi ɔmo sɛ ɔmo yɛ huu obi ti sɛ Atuguba Raymond Atuguba a ɔwɔ faculty of law a ɔyɛ the dean ɔse yɛnka nkyerɛ ne sɛ Atuguba yi untimi nyɛ foko ɛno nti no hwɛ wo nkasa yɛ mu yie obi ti sɛ Oliver ɔse obi anya abotrɛ sankrofo yi nyina no na ɔmo wɔ aban ne mu deda ɔma ntimi anya hwe amfa ma ɔman Ghana na obiara nso bɛdi atum sɛ yɛ baaye anase NPP baaye COVID-19 aba yɛ adwumason de atia ewiase afa na nyina nti so obi wɔ amamuo so a ɛbɛyɛ de ne sɛ ne obetimi ayɛ no obetimi ayɛ nanso ɔse yɛn hwɛ sɛ ifi SHS ɔyɛyɛ niema bebree de ama ɔman Ghana yesi ne waye bi pen no ono na yesi no mo apiafo na ye bɔ no aba so a obetimi so aye biem tie from aye buafo sabre ahaye NK97 edama so se maye aso na matie ye shalom.